Info Factory Track for CSI Workset Maintenance. Worksets are a very helpful tool to allow an employee and/or a team of employees to be assigned to work and report labour on several activities at the same time. Time reporting updates are made each time a transaction is made against any or all of the activities included in the workset and are spread evenly across all activity and team members. To support the use of worksets being used in Factory Track, configuration of the workset maintenance parameters is required. Factory Track has a few workset maintenance parameters to control the validations, displayed fields and processing options that are permitted as part of the workset maintenance process. These are defined on the transaction set parameters form for the shop floor workset maintenance transaction name. For this training, we are enabling these parameters in order to show where these fields appear and validations that occur in the transaction steps. Additionally, to allow an employee to use the workset maintenance feature, the employee's form must have the workset enabled checkbox selected for the employee. To start the workset maintenance process, from the Factory Track Shop Floor Work Center navigation homepage, select the Labour menu. Then select the workset maintenance form. Let's first provide an overview of the workset maintenance form by reviewing the fields and the functions available. The workset selection displays details of the workset defined or updated based on the employee. In this example, Factory Track has determined that the employee is not a member of any team and that the employee is enabled for workset usage, so the workset type is employee. If the employee was assigned to a team, the team would be displayed. The order type defines the type of activity to be added to the workset. The options include Setup, Run, Indirect Project, and SRO. Based on this selection, additional information specific to that type of activity is requested for entry before adding to the workset. The Add to Workset button is enabled when all required information for the selected order type activity is entered. Clicking on this button adds the activity to the workset. The workset status provides an indicator regarding whether the workset is being defined. Displaying Adding means it is still adding mode and nothing has been started, or whether it is actively running, in which case it displays running. The Workset tab provides a summary view of the activity records included in the workset. The following fields are displayed: the punch type, the start time. This reflects when the last update to an active running workset was made. Order type, order number, suffix, operation, task code, used for indirect labor or projects. When defining a new activity to add to the workset, the Add Details tab allows the user to see the detailed information retrieved about the current state of that order. On the Workset tab, the Remove, Start All, End All, and End Workset transaction buttons are enabled based upon the transactions that are available for the state of the workset and for the record selected. For instance, the Remove button is only enabled when the workset status is in adding status and when a single activity record is selected. To add activities to a workset, first we select the order type to be added. This selection drives the remaining data to be defined in order to add the record. Let's start with an order type of setup. For this order type, you must enter or select from the drop-down the required fields of the job ID, the suffix, the operation ID. Optional fields include entry or selection from drop-down of the resource ID, and if you choose to combine labor and machine time, the machine resource field will be enabled for entry. Once the required fields are entered for the order type selected, the Add to Workset button is enabled. Click on the button to add the activity to the workset. As this is the first activity being added to the workset, you now see the workset status has changed to adding. A workset record has been created that ties the current activities together. The setup record has been added to that workset. The Start All button is now enabled for the selected workset. Note that if a single activity record is selected during the adding status, the Remove button will be enabled. To add a job run activity, the same fields are available for definition as for the setup activity. To add an indirect task, you must enter or select the indirect labor code to be applied. This value is displayed on the task code field on the workset table. To add a project activity, you must enter or select the project ID, the task ID, and the project cost code ID. To add a service request order, you must enter or select the partner ID, the service request order ID, the line ID, and the operation ID. There are several actions and transactions that can be performed against worksets. Transactions that can be processed when the workset is in adding status include the ability to remove an activity from a workset or to start all activities in a workset. To start all activities in a workset, click on the Start All button. Once started, the workset grid updates the start time for all activity records, the workset status is updated to running, and the End All button is enabled. Transactions that can be processed when the workset is in running status include the ability to end single activity records or end the entire workset. To end a single activity, select a record and click on the End button. In this example, this record is for a setup activity type, so no quantity reporting is required. FactoryTrack then records an end transaction for all the activities in the workset and creates new start transactions for all records with the exception of the ended record. These transactions reflect the time that the end request was processed. If ending a single activity which quantity reporting is applicable, in this example a production job order, and transaction set maintenance has report quantity enabled, FactoryTrack will also use the current time to post the end and start transactions as previously discussed, and also prompts the user to report the good, moved, and scrap quantities. If a value is entered for scrapped, you must enter or select a reason code for the scrap. To end the entire workset, select the End All button. FactoryTrack creates an end transaction for all activities on the workset, using the current time as the transaction time for all. FactoryTrack creates interval end and start transactions for the workset active records at each workset maintenance process. In this example, we have 3 records that started at 8 a.m. One of the job orders was ended at 10 a.m. FactoryTrack records a transaction for each workset record with a start time of 8 o'clock and an end time of 10 o'clock. This 2-hour period was equally distributed amongst each activity. This case 0.667 hours or 40 minutes is charged to each, calculated as 2 hours divided by 3 activities. The remaining tasks on the workset were ended at 11 o'clock. FactoryTrack recorded the 1-hour work and distributed 0.5 of an hour or 30 minutes to each record, calculated as 1 hour divided by 2 records.